Kunjabihari Gopi Janavara Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavara Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Madhava Kunjabihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradara Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Tira Vanata Yamunatira Vanata Vanata Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari. Hari Ramo, Hari Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Ramo, Hari Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Ramo, Hari Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hari Hari, Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe, Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhu Prabhupada Jaya Prabhu Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gora Hari Bo Nitai Gora Hari Bo Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Gora Hari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 23. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here online and in person. I'm about to torture this Sanskrit verse, so please bear with me. Dristamaya diva vibho kali drisna panam ayoshriyo vibhava ichiti yanya chanayam ye shmit pita kupita hasa rim bita buru vishpur chitana lulita satute nishrista. Would anybody like to try this verse with the proper meter? Okay. One more time. Jagannath Pandit. One more time. Trista Maya Divya Vibho Kali Drisnipanam Ayo Shriyo Vibhava Ichitiyam Janayam Yeshmat Pitu Kupita Hasya Vribam Pita Bru Vishpu Chitana Lulita Satute Nishrasta. Having an expert teacher really helps out. Okay, word for word translation. Drista, have been seen practically. Maya, by me. Divi, in the higher planetary systems. Vibho, O my Lord. Akila, or Drisniya Pana, of the chiefs of different states or planets. Ayo, the duration of life. Shriya, the opulences. Vibhava, glory's influence. Ichati, desire. Yan, all of which. Jnana Ajam, these people in general, yea, all of which duration of life, opulence, etc. Ashmat Pitu of our father Hiranyakashipu, Kupita Hasa, by his critical laughing when angry, Vijambita, being expanded, grew, of the eyebrows, Vishpur Jitana, simply by the feature, Lolita, pulled down or finished, Sa, he, my father, Tu, but, Te, by you, Nishrasta, completely vanquished. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment. But I have seen all of these through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished, simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. Purport. Within this material world, one should understand by practical experience the value of material opulence, longevity, and influence. We have actual experience that even on this planet, there have been many great politicians and military commanders like Napoleon, Hitler, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Gandhi. But as soon as their lives were finished, their popularity, influence, and everything else were finished also. Prahlad Maharaj formerly gathered the same experience by seeing the activities of Hiranyakashipu, his great father. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not give any importance to anything in this material world. No one can maintain his body or material achievements forever. A Vaishnav can understand that nothing within this material world, not even that which is powerful, opulent, or influential, can endure. At any time, such things may be vanquished. And who can vanquish them? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should conclusively understand that no one is greater than the Supreme Great, since the Supreme Great demands Sarvadharma Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Every intelligent man must agree to this proposal. One must surrender unto the Lord to be saved from the wheel of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Swami Termine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Aristadmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Titinavane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Termine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pacharane Nivashesha Shundavadi Pashta Dashdharani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Translation.
Krishna. Can the Zoom microphone be moved closer? Not that microphone. The Zoom microphone is the device. Yes, right.
This one.
The red thing.
Okay. Is that
Hare,
better, Prabhu?
much better. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Translation again. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment. But I've seen all of these through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished, simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. So, sharing my realizations about this particular verse, one of the first things that struck me when I read this verse, and if the verse yesterday and the verse tomorrow is also going to be maybe delving a little bit more deeply into this, but I was thinking that if Hiranyakashipu had been actually a little bit more thoughtful, that he would have also included in that list of that laundry list of things that he didn't want to be killed by, to also add time to that. It seems like it was a monumental mistake to leave the fact that time is actually killing all of us, whether we like it or not. And that, and time, Krishna is time himself. In the Bhagavad Gita 11:32, Krishna says, "Time, I am destroyer of all the worlds. I've come to engage all people." So that was a big omission, I think, by Hiranyakashipu not to add. Oh yeah, and also I shouldn't be killed by time. Um, in that particular verse, that Bhagavad Gita verse, Srila Prabhupada says, "Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature." And that is one of the things that um, it's kind of like a, a, a a dissonance, cognitive dissonance in our souls, in our psyche, that even though somewhere deep inside us we know that we're eternal, because this death is such a shock, it's a surprise. That's what Yudhisthira said when he answered the riddles of um, Yamaraj, right? What is the most amazing thing is that we see that every day somebody's dying, yet we think we're going to be here forever. Um, and it's that wanting to be here forever, wanting to be immortal, that drives people to spend so much of the short time they have in these bodies and on this planet trying to make their time in this place immortal. And you can see that if you just look back in history, even Srila Prabhupada mentioned all of the great um, Napoleon and Hitler and Bose and Gandhi, all of these great, and you can keep going on with all these great personalities. That now that they've gone, and the only thing that we try to do here is to kind of leave something behind. That how can we be remembered? They there are great monuments built, like the pyramids that have been here for thousands of years, great cathedrals that you'll find in Europe. And these days, all of these super tall buildings that are going up in every capital all over the world, all of them trying to be like a monument to immortality. It's like, how can I stay forever? And even if I can't physically stay here forever, how can I have people remember me forever? So time is actually the problem. It's always been a problem. And um, in this verse, uh, Prahlad talks about, in this verse, Prahlad talks about being elevated to a higher planetary system for a long duration of life, opulence and enjoyment. So I'm not even sure if people are even thinking about what's going to happen afterwards anymore. Before, that used to be the meditation, like in the medieval times, that life was so hard and things were so difficult that people mostly just mostly just thought about, okay, this life is miserable, but the next life is going to be wonderful. We're heading to heaven. So that's going to be wonderful. You see all the spirituals all are talking about that, forget about this life, when we get to heaven, everything's going to be wonderful. Um, and I was actually looking this up, and because in my head, I had this idea, and please correct me. Srila Prabhupada saying at some point that most of my devotees are going to end up at the heavenly planets. Um, and I was thinking about that. And actually, I did find a couple of references in the Bhagavatam. Did I write them down here? That um, he also said that my devotees will pass through the heavenly planets on their way to Goloka Vrindavan. So maybe it's not going to be a permanent stop for most of us. Maybe it will just be like a transitory stop on the way to the spiritual world. But again, this idea of wanting to enjoy opulences and um, and intense sense gratification, which is ultimately Hiranyakashipu's downfall. So again, I was considering that. Um, so if we can't accumulate stuff here, and we can't enjoy permanently in the upper planetary systems, again, the enemy that we have in all of this, or not the enemy, but the grounding essence in all of this is Krishna in the form of time. Um, so what's the alternative? If if time is the thing that is taking away all of the things that we're trying desperately to hold on here, and even when we reach when we aspire to be in a place where there is so much more a higher grade a higher grade of enjoyment, that time still will take that away from us as well. What's the alternative? And as devotees, the alternative is we go back to the spiritual world. But um, I heard somebody, I think it was maybe S.B. Keshava Maharaj, in one of his lectures, he was talking about how Krishna takes everything away from us that is actually not us. And I was thinking about that analogy of a sculptor. When he sees a block of wood or a lump of stone, he can actually see within that stone the the beautiful the beautiful artwork that is trying to bring out. And what he does is simply remove all the parts that are not that beautiful artwork. So Krishna is removing from us all the things that are really not us. That there's nothing that we really own in this world except our free will. And how we use our free will um, with time is ultimately where our success lies. So time is our biggest enemy or is our biggest friend? It says unstoppable time is the foremost representative of divine power in this material world. So if instead of looking at time, instead of looking, so my in my idea when I was meditating on this verse and thinking, okay, what can I take away from this verse with all of this, with this information, what can I take away from it? And it's if Krishna is time and time is what we're trying to get on our side, I had this radical thought that what if Krishna was a person? And this person was, how would you use your time to get better acquainted with this person who is Krishna? How would we use time to maximize our time, our relationship with Krishna, rather than trying to hold on to time? We have all of these idioms around time, like the time is slipping away, or I'm killing time, or I have all the time in the world. We have this relationships with time and relationship with Krishna. So how can we use time to personalize our relationship with Krishna? So using that um, as an idea, I decided to think about it as if I was like a counselor, we finish at 8, right? Okay. Um, as if I was a counselor and I am trying to get you to use the time that you have, which is the most precious commodity that we have, in relationship to getting a better relationship with Krishna. So using time to personalize a relationship involves moving beyond mere physical presence to intentional, persistent, and customized engagement. It means treating time as a resource to be invested in shared rituals, deep communication, and specialized moments that honor your partner's specific emotional needs. So, breaking this down, the first thing would be to create personalized daily rituals. Create small daily touch points which are unique to you. So, how would that how would that be? So, in conventional terms, it would mean something like a no phone zone, like setting aside time that's not on your phone and not on your computer and not on anything else, just to be with that person. And as devotees, we have that time. It's called japa, right? So we put aside 1.5 to 2 hours daily for uninterrupted conversation, um, quality time with the person that you're trying to create a relationship with. And I had this realization when I was chanting one morning that actually my japa is my love language for Krishna. You know, like everybody has a love language, some way in which you can actually reach their heart. And for me, when I had that thought, it's like I felt like the quality of my japa was improving because this is how I tell Krishna that I actually love him. This is how I tell Krishna that I want to spend time with him is through my japa. So my japa should be um, like focused and uninterrupted and really like putting some emotion into it. So I was thinking, oh yeah, this is my love language. Um, Another way of personalized daily rituals is a morning and evening check-in. So use the first and last 5 to 10 minutes of the day to connect on personal goals and emotions and things like that. So how I do that is the first thing in the morning, as soon as I wake up, before my feet touch the ground, I usually say a series of prayers ending in gratitude. Um, and also before I go to sleep, the last thing that I do before I go to sleep is say prayers or my pranams to my spiritual master, say prayers, thanking Krishna. So first the first minutes of each day and the last minutes of each day should be focused on the person that you want to spend time with, you want to develop relationship with. The second thing would be to implement structure or scheduling. Treat time with Krishna the same with the same respect that you would treat any other time, like a work meeting or um, a scheduled meeting anywhere else. And in that, there is this thing called the 777 rule. Um, and it's a recommendation to have like a date night every 7 days, a weekend away every 7 weeks, and a vacation every 7 months, right? If you're nurturing a relationship. So I thought, okay, that falls into devotee life also. Like every 7 days, we have a Sunday program. So, you know, we gather together with the devotees, we spend some time with the devotees, we're all together glorifying the Lord, sharing prasadam, catching up with each other. And then every 7 weeks, um, I'm sure there's a yoga retreat somewhere that we can find, you know, go off to New Vrindavan or somewhere else and have some specialized time away, also in the presence of the deities there in a different, you know, they say a change is as good as a rest or whatever. So have a change of environment, but also keeping it around um, spiritual inspiration. And then every 7 months, maybe visiting a holy place, maybe making a trip to India, making a trip somewhere else, going farther afield to catch like a mela somewhere or a, you know, a 24-hour kirtan somewhere. So again, when we start thinking about, when we really start thinking about Krishna as a person, then we start to orientate the way that we um, see this relationship in a way that's nurturing. We spend as much time nurturing this relationship as we would spend nurturing anything else. Customize quality time. Um, Quality time is not one size fits all. It should reflect your partner's love language and interests. So, again, going back to quality time during japa, um, making sure that we are, you know, really taking the time to not be distracted. And it's so difficult, especially at this time of this time that we're in, because distraction has been taken to a professional level. You know, we have psychiatrists and psychologists and and people with so many PhDs and so many years whose job it is to distract us, whose job it is to keep us unfocused on what we want and focused on what they want. And they're doing a supreme job of it. So, in this particular age that we're in, being able to just hold focus for even 20 minutes at a time is a supreme effort. And it's an amazing achievement if you can do that, if you can just focus your time. Another customization of quality time, and this we can engage um, in our sadhu sangha, in our association, is active listening. When we spend time together, put away devices to show that we're fully engaged, and making um, other devotees that we're in touch with, that we're engaging with, that we're associating with, make them feel that you're completely absorbed in that conversation, in that time, and that the time that you're spending together. Another way that um, relationships are nurtured is by shared hobbies, or in our case, in devotees' case, it would be savor. Engage in activities that give you an opportunity to serve selflessly. So, giving class, um, doing deity worship, cooking for their lordships, um, making flower garlands, picking flowers, growing flowers, making preparations for the Sunday program, cleaning the temple room, greeting guests, um, beautifying beautifying Krishna's surroundings, making your home a welcoming place for devotees, making your home a welcoming place for anybody. Um, Even the way that you're interacting with strangers, or with people that you meet on the street, people that you meet in the store, this is all a reflection of your relationship with Krishna. So Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, like Guru Maharaj, would often say that the way that you deal with people, any stranger, is a reflection of your is this person could be this person that you're interacting with. Maybe this is the only opportunity that they would ever have to interact with a devotee. So be very mindful about how you're being with that person. You know, be very loving with that person. It may be the only time that they ever have with a devotee. So you never know who you're coming across in your, day-to-day activities. So be very mindful about how you are interacting with them and how you are treating them. Um, Another way of nurturing relationships is curiosity. And I've kind of interpreted this as curiosity, conversations, reading. So, are we reading every day? Are we being curious about um, how our devotional line has evolved? How all the different characters that that we can learn from, all of the different people that you find in the Bhagavatam, in the Mahabharats, in the Upanishads. All of these great works are there for us to read. All of Srila Prabhupada's books, all of our Guru Maharaj's books, they're all there for us to read so that we can become more conversant with what bhakti actually is, what it means to be a devotee, what it means um, to have this association that extends not just physically but also metaphysically through the books as well. So using our time to read, to ask questions that deepen our understanding of how we ourselves are evolving, challenging negative assumptions that might have formed over time, correcting perspectives. All of these things are ways in which we can become better, evolving, becoming better. Another thing that Bhaktitirtha Maharaj would say, especially just before he would leave, he would say, "I'm leaving, and when I come back, I don't expect to find the same people that I left. I want you to evolve. I want you to become better. I want you to go deeper into your practice, because that's what I'm going to do." So every time we see each other, we should be different people. We should have another realization to share. We should have some reading that that has stuck in our mind, or something that we heard, or something that we've experienced that we can share with each other. And this way, we're helping to deepen each other's life. And on that line, number 4 is optimize the tempo of interaction, especially with devotees. um, Again, taking time to listen first before, making any suggestions or offering any advice, especially if somebody is struggling. Sometimes just listening and being a sounding board for someone is really sometimes all that someone needs, that they have somebody that I can share with, that can listen to them. Consistent gestures to create a tempo of small, regular actions. And I would call these like acts of kindness and compassion, um, things that you're sharing with devotees, things that you're giving. I was just reflecting. I was over at Divya and Salvatma's on Tuesday, just dropping something off, and then Divya and Prabhu said, yeah, give your shoulder some burfi. We have some burfi. Every time I go there, I come away with some delicious sweet or something that they've made, some homemade. And I was just reflecting on that. It's just so kind and so thoughtful that, oh, devotees here. There's something I can give them. So these just small acts of kindness, small acts of compassion, they build up in the heart. These are like little samskaras that little etchings on the heart that we can practice with others as well as receive. And um, addressing grievances within 24 hours to prevent resentment from building. So if there is a time when you feel that maybe you may have misunderstood something, or somebody's communicated something with you that doesn't feel right, don't allow it to fester in your heart. Go and talk to that person. Sometimes I feel that devotees like to avoid conflict. Well, conflict is not, you can't avoid conflict in this material world. I mean, it is, we're in Kali Yuga. It's basically what makes up the substance of this time we're in. So learning how to deal with it, learning how to diffuse it, it means communication. And that's something that I'm working on actually. I'm realizing that maybe I'm not communicating as clearly as I thought I was. So that's something that 2026, that's my reflection for this year, is making sure that my communication is clear and that I'm actually saying what I people are understanding what I'm hoping that I'm giving them. Anyway, so that's another thing too, as we interact with each other. Um, Sometimes devotee communities are like, I've given this example before, like a tumbler. I don't know if anybody, when they were younger, would ever tumble stones. You put them in a container with water and grit, or sand, some coarse sand, like different kinds of stones that you see, and you let it roll. And then the grit polishes the stones. And when you pull them out, this ugly little piece of rock that you had is now this beautiful, shining thing with all different colors in it. So that's kind of what devotee association is like. Sometimes is that we're all together and we're all like rolling around in this grit and sand of the material world, but we're all polishing each other so that when we're extracted, all these beautiful colors come out. So there's always going to be some altercation, some friction, some unpleasantness there. But if we deal with it promptly and try to open our hearts and try to understand the other person, um, then we can resolve it without it leaving resentment and bitterness with us, which is what we don't want. And finally, cultivate me time to improve we time. So personalizing a relationship also requires time apart, which brings fresh perspectives and energy back to the relationship. So how would I understand this as a devotee? Scheduled solitude. So encouraging self-reflection, reading, journaling to maintain personal evolution. Tito Maharaj would say that every day he would write to Srila Prabhupada. Um, and that was a practice that he kept his entire life, was every day writing to Srila Prabhupada. I don't always do that. I tend to do a lot of things in my head. There was a time when I would write things down, but I do have conversations every day. Um, reflecting on things. Maybe I should have done that a little bit better. Or maybe that was, you know, nicely done, or um, how could I use my time more efficiently, and how can I not be distracted by my phone so much, and all of this kind of stuff. And also, I would also include in this optimizing, improving me time is also sometimes going outside of our circle. Sometimes devotees have difficulty doing this in actually moving outside of the circle of devotees. But Lord Chaitanya said that we're supposed to be taking this mission, this chanting of the holy names to every town and village. And unless we go to every town and village, how are we going to, take it there? And not necessarily physically every town and village, but at least um, how are we how are we interacting with non-devotees? And I mentioned, like, even at the grocery store, being nice to people, saying hello, all of that. But there should be some way in which we are getting out there. It could be through book distribution, it could be through prasadam distribution, it could be we all, not all of us, but we have businesses or ways in which we're working, or, making um, creating finances, and you're interacting with people. So how are you interacting with those people? Are you taking time to listen to them, active listening? Are you taking time to share with them in a way that they can appreciate and they can understand? Are you taking time to empathize with them? Everyone is struggling in this world right now, even without all of the stuff that's going on right now. Just being in the material world, birth, death, disease, and old age. Everybody's struggling with those. So how can we how can we empathize with people, and help them to maybe have one little tiny grain, like tiny spark, that might help them through the day. So so seeing that we are carriers of this bhakti to others, um, is a really important part of who we are as devotees. We're not an insular, isolated group. We're actually meant to be carrying Lord Chaitanya's mission out to everyone. I'm going to end there, but I wanted to just leave one final quote, which is from Jean-Luc Picard. Anybody knows I'm a Trekkie, and I wanted to end with this quote. Um, Seize the time, merry ball. Live now, make now always the most precious time. Now will never come again. So with that, thank you very much. If there are any questions or comments or challenges, um, please share. Hare Krishna Prabhu. You're Tulsi? Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Okay. Thank you.
I really like beginning how you explain that we should see the japa as
Could,
our
could someone hand him the microphone?
Oh, sure.
Thank you so much.
Oh, this one? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I really like how you said japa is our private time to associate with Krishna throughout the day. So it's not just one of the many things that we have to do in the day because we have to move on. and there are other important things that we have to do with our time. But actually, it's a personal way to develop relationship with Krishna. So I really like this song. Thank you very much.
It's taken me a while it took me a while to really realize that. But then, when you, like everything else that we do in our life, we will make some arrangement for it. Like when we were students, right? Maybe we had class at like 8 in the morning or something. So we got up in time and we got to class. Um, if we have a job, you have to show up on time. You have to be there for a certain period of time. You have lunch, you go for lunch, you get back on time, right? And anything else that we do, if there's a movie you want to see, oh, it starts at 7:30. You get there at 7:20 so that you're there for the movie to start. But when it's Japa, it's like, oh, oh, it's Japa time, okay, whatever, and and I I try to make a, a, a very distinct effort to try to bring Japa into the same mentality that I would bring for everything else. So, like this morning, like this is usually, no, I'm usually finished by now, but early morning is usually my Japa time. And I try to now bring it so that I'm not driving and chanting. I did at some point in my life if I had to get to work at 7 in the morning. So what I did was like, okay, this is going to cut into my Japa time. So I need to get up earlier. I need to wake up earlier so that I can have my Japa time and have everything completed before, because this is a little different than my usual schedule. So now I'm making that adjustment. If I was traveling, I wouldn't get up early to make sure that I've got my japa done before I have to start everything else. But that was an intentional, deliberate effort to keep japa as a priority rather than allowing it to just fall into the mix of it's just something else that I do and I'll get done at some point, you know? And it is an austerity, but austerity is also part of what builds the character in bhakti. It's one of the principles one of our yoga technologies, one of our principles is austerity. So the austerity of getting up a little earlier just to make sure that you have quality japa time is something that at some point you have to prioritize, because that is what the foundation of this relationship is. Jai. Hare Krishna. Does anybody online have anything that they want to share?
I just wanted to comment that thank you so much for taking your time and coming and giving us a nice class and bringing us back around in the communication circles and relationships, because that's what it's all about, as we know. We need each other or we're finished. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you for being here. Yeah, relationships is what we're here to. It's like we broke up with Krishna, right? Krishna was in a relationship with us. He loves us. And then we said, oh, you know what? I want to try something else. I don't think this is working for me anymore. We should go our separate ways. And then we ended up here. And then we came to our senses, and it's now, oh, wow, yeah, Krishna was right. We should be in a relationship. And say, okay, Krishna. And then Krishna said, oh, really? You want to come back? Are you sure you want to come back? So now it's up to us to to mend the relationship with Krishna, even though he's in our heart, even though he loves us, even though he's never been away from us. We are the ones that have to say, no, really, I really do want a relationship with you, Krishna, and I'm going to take the time, make the effort. It's just like anything else that we would do in this world, right? You break up with somebody and then you realize, oh no, I really love that person. If you love somebody, let them go, they come back. It's a real thing. So we're trying to come back to Krishna. So relationship is it. And we're here to practice on each other what loving unconditional relationships are like, because we've forgotten. And so, yeah, it really is all about relationships. So we need to remember that.
thank you for the class. I like the way that you brought so many wonderful points in terms of how we can improve in different ways using our time. And I was thinking about how we often see that time is ours, like we possess the time, which
Time in the world.
right. That's another thing, yeah. But Krishna is time, and so can we actually possess Krishna? Because we can, but in a different way, through our service. But it's not like we're controlling time and possessing time and so on. So it's quite a challenge because you know if we do the things you're saying and actually sticking with our daily schedule and reading and purifying the mind and associating with the hearing and chanting, that is actually taking up our time, and the more we put ourselves in relation to time as a servant to Krishna, then time is being utilized properly and is a way that is so filled with devotional service and sangha, and that we can't help but go through the tumbler. We're actually getting polished and purified, like you were saying. So, thank you for the class.
Thank you for both those reflections. And if you think about it, what are we spending our time doing? We're trying to enjoy, right? Watching a movie, um, um, hanging out with friends. Luckily, devotees, our friends are devotees. So, so we're hanging out with other people that are also trying with the same goal that we have. Um, but as Jagannath Pandit Prabhu was saying, that if we utilize our time with Krishna, then that sense of joy, contentment, that happiness is actually going to be there as well. It's just that we've forgotten that that's actually the only true way to be happy is to hang out with Krishna in all of those different ways. We're trying to find that in other places, but that's not where the happiness resides. The happiness resides with Krishna. Maybe we just don't believe that, you know? Maybe we don't believe that we can be happy when we're engaged in Krishna's service. We believe it on one level, but like really deeply believe it, because if we really deeply believe it, we would be doing it all the time. So again, self-reflection and kind of really understand who we are, and also to appreciate how far we've come. It's not that it's going to be a negative thing all the time, but appreciate how far we've come, and see what works. If it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, stop doing it, and just keep making adjustments. Right. Hare Krishna Prabhus, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, or to Shishi Radharani.